Okay, let's have a good look around Adobe Audition. Now I've loaded in a waveform, just so you can see what goes into the big rectangle. You won't see that, as you probably realize when you open up yours. It'll be completely black when you open a new session, but don't worry about that. What I would like you to do is make sure that what you see, the workspace, is the same as the one that I will be working in. So put your mouse to the top and highlight Window. Then move down to Workspace, and you'll see a lot of different workspaces on the right hand side, flip out thingy. Now here's one called Radio Production. Now people in radio, commercial or drama production would find this workspace more useful. As well as editing, you can insert easily metadata when you're exporting radio commercials or radio programs for distribution. On the left there's an effects rack where one effect can be followed by another, but we don't have to worry about much of that for the majority of our work. We certainly don't have to worry about this one. This is called Advanced Mixing. Whoa! If you select this, you'll probably get very scared indeed, so forget about that. That's for the music guys. Now, you may think, looking at the list, you need to select Simple Editing down here, but actually we need a bit more than Simple Editing, because we need to be able to see accurately the duration of the voiceovers we're recording, and the time counter isn't included on the Simple Workspace preset. So I'd like you to simply select Classic, and your workspace should look like this. So let me show you around. Because I have one example file on the right hand side showing here in green the actual waveform, the name of the file is on the left hand side, and if I put my mouse over the vertical line on the edge, drag it to the right, you'll see a lot of detail about this particular file, including its duration, sample rate, bit depth, and so on. A useful thing you may need for the future, but look, you can instantly see basic data about the type of audio you've got on the main screen down in the bottom right. 48,000 Hertz or 48 kilohertz. Fine, it says it's a mono file. Wow, but we can tell that, of course, because there's only one line of squiggly stuff up there. If it were a stereo track, it would look different. In fact, I'll import a stereo track now to show you how you can actually import an audio file. Two ways of doing it, as people come from different backgrounds. Some people like to think of it as importing a file. Some people like to think of it as opening a file. Both do similar things. This time we're importing a stereo track as a music track. It's a song I've written, actually, not that you're interested, I'm sure, but hey, it's copyright free for the purposes of this course. You might like the song, you can find it on Spotify. Now, as you will clearly see, there are two channels. Left channel at the top end and right channel at the bottom. And here on the bottom right hand corner, it tells me it's not a 48 kilohertz recording anymore. It's 41 kilohertz. Now that's the kind of music standard, the CD standard. Most music tracks you will find have this sampling. It also says stereo, but hey, we can see it with the two tracks. If you're recording a voiceover, you would of course record in mono. You have one mouth and normally use 48 kilohertz as it's better quality and better integrates with video editing programs where many of your voiceover recordings will be used by your client. There are 4 other ways you might want to bring files into Audition. 4? Oh, don't confuse me. Look, I'll tell you now, but you only need to pick one. Just pick your favorite and stick to it. You can hold Control or Command down and click O, and that opens. You can hold Control or Command down and click I for import. You can click either of the open or import icons at the top here, or you can right-click in the left-hand area to choose import or open, whatever you want. Some people love right-clicking all the time. I personally don't. I'm a keyboard fan, but whatever you find fastest. In the lower panel, called Transport, you'll see controls that look like an old tape recorder from the 80s, doesn't it, eh? Put your mouse over each icon to see what each of the buttons does, but it's all pretty obvious. The thing is, I bet you'll be like me and just use the keyboard shortcuts to use the Transport, as it is quicker. The only time you may go into this area is to click the Loop Playback button, and even that can be enabled by using Command or Control plus L for loop. Now, how this loop thing works is that you basically mouse an area you just need to hear again and again. Maybe you're doing a script for a non-English company, it has some non-English names, and you've been sent a recording by the client saying the unusual names, like this Polish example.
Nowa Huta.
Okay, if the word is only said once, you need to really get it in your head. Simply left-click the mouse at the beginning of the word, drag over the word to the right, let go. By the way, if you don't get exactly the area you want to select by clicking and dragging, you can fine-tune your selection by dragging the edges of the selection like this. Okay, once you're happy with your selection, click the Loop Playback button. Down here it turns blue. Or you can use Command or Control plus L. Right, icon's blue. Now let's see what happens when you play by pressing the spacebar.
Nowa Huta. Nowa Huta. Nowa Huta.
And you simply click the loop icon to deselect. Now, depending on the shape of your monitor, or monitors actually, you could actually click the hamburger icon here and select Undock Panel to drag elements to another monitor, if you really wanted to, but hey, most people have one monitor. You can select the lines in between the sections. You can make them as big or small as you like. You may get distracted by a big clock, by the way. I don't mind it, but I've had a lifetime of working in TV stations with time code on the picture a lot of the time. You get used to it. So just move the clock to a size that's comfortable for you. And also you need to click the hamburger 3-line thingy here and ensure the synchronize button is on and it's showing decimal. In other words, your clock is showing normal time, minutes, seconds, and parts of a second. Don't worry about the other options. They are not for the likes of us. Right, the zoom box here, that shows the various things that are available. Many people just use the scroll wheel on the mouse to zoom in and out like this. Or you can use the plus and minus keys on your keyboard. If it's a big file, drag the bar at the top to get where you need to go if you get confused. But the most useful tool I find in the zoom box us voiceovers need once we've recorded a big session is the zoom out full button. So it lets you, as we say in the UK, let the dog see the rabbit. You can see at a glance the full file, the duration of it, and an overview of the issues it may have. So you can either use this zoom out full button, or you could actually obviously just go minus, 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 or any of the other ones, or just use your scroll wheel again. The shortcut, by the way, is Command or Control, then \. So it's whatever you want to do. You'll get used to these things, no problem. The final box to the right in this classic workspace view of Adobe Audition is very important. We use it all the time as voiceovers. So you've got a finished edited file. You note that the client wants the first section to be a certain time, all right? You don't need to note the time code of the start word and the time code of the end word and get your calculator out, a base 60 calculator. You still got one of them? And you do a mathematics sum. Nah, you don't need to do that. Just select the section you need. In other words, click to the left at the beginning, drag to the right, let go, and here it automatically shows the duration. So ridiculously useful. Okay, there are two main ways of using Adobe Audition. There's the waveform view that we're in now, and if you go to the top left hand, you'll see that waveform is highlighted. But what's this? Multi-track, eh? But look, we won't click that now. We'll leave that for another section. We'll surprise you later. Finally, in this section, how to change the appearance. If you're a little bit bored with the various colors on the screen in front of you after you spend endless days looking at it, simply go into Edit or Adobe, it says here on the Mac versions, into Preferences, and then into Appearance. Now, there's various presets here. If you go click on this button here. For example, there's Adobe Gray, which just sort of makes it a bit lighter. There's a bluey version of it there with a sort of a purple look. Midnight Blues. Foggy Lighthouse is quite fun, but it's a bit too foggy. It's not that clear, is it, to be honest? So in the end, I just keep it as it is and simply change the waveform itself. Sorry, I've just clicked out of it there. So basically, you click on Waveform Foreground and then change it to what you want the thing to be. So basically, I like my waveform quite often blue. but I change it around every few weeks just to poke myself up. Just click OK on there and OK on there, and then suddenly everything is on blue for you. A bonus card with the purchase of any Nintendo Switch console. Sweet. See you in the next section.